evening. And then as we take a closer look at the temperatures here, 32 degrees at our nation's capital. Baltimore sitting at 30 degrees. And again, you can see some of those sleet pellets moving through, as well as snow as we get around Fredericks, as you get a little farther into the interior areas there. Now, snow's still to come. Now, they've seen around 2 to 3 inches. You could see an additional 3 to 4 inches, and especially as you get up to the north there, anywhere from 5 to 6 inches of snow. And this is going to continue as we go into Monday. So watch as I time this out for you. By Monday morning, we have a little bit of change over there off to the north of D.C. D.C. looking at a little bit of rain. So again, that could impact your snow totals, but then things start to switch back over by Monday afternoon. So expect more snow as we go into 5 o'clock Monday for the D.C. Baltimore area, just around the Chesapeake Bay. And then this continues all the way through your Tuesday morning. We still have some snow showers around. So a long way to go as we continue with Winter Storm Orlena. But it's not just D.C. We got to move up to Boston. And Mike, Boston also in with a lot of snow, and it could last to the middle of the week.
I just fret what may happen here along the Mass Pike. This thing is going to be really nasty with the wind. You're looking good right now, Boston. You're sitting at 23 degrees. The snow is coming in, though, and it's going to come down in bucketfuls here in New England. Boy, Boston, your forecast is so tricky. You know that your proximity here to the ocean, you're sitting right on the ocean, right? So how much influence will that ocean have on maybe cutting down some of your totals as you get some mix in there? But Boston, here's the forecast right now. So going into Monday afternoon and evening, 35 degrees.
So let's talk about D.C., what's going on there right now. Most areas earlier today saw anywhere from a couple inches of snow to maybe 3 inches of snow. But look here, now we're reporting a lot of icy conditions all the way up through D.C., then getting into Baltimore, across parts of the I-95 corridor. So that's something to watch out for as these temperatures drop, even if you see a break in the precipitation. Now, snow's still to come for areas, maybe 2 to 3 inches for the nation's capital. And then as we get close to the Mason-Dixon line, anywhere from 5 to 6 inches of snow. Watching that closely as we head through tomorrow. We're going to see the brunt of Orlena for much of the New England areas. That coastal low tightens up and slowly moves up the eastern seaboard. So tonight we have a bit of a break, but then by Monday morning, look at this, a little bit of rain transitioning here for areas around the Delmarva area. And then of course, as we get farther to the west, we're looking at more of just snow. So parts of western Maryland, you're probably going to stay all snow. It's more as we get into the Baltimore area, you may see a bit of that mix as we head through tomorrow early. But then as we head through the afternoon, those temperatures cold enough throughout the atmosphere here to get the snow showers back. So then we expect all snow again. So you may get a little bit of rain and then additional snowfall as we go into the evening hours on Monday and then as well into Tuesday. You can see that snow continuing for all areas until about lunchtime on Tuesday. And then we'll start to see that transitioning out, and you'll have a bit of a break before we have to talk about another storm that's on the way. D.C., look at your snow record since 1884. We're looking at 708 days. This is the longest snow drought where you haven't seen an inch of snow. So we are going to break that. We're still second there on the list. The longest you've ever waited there is 788 days. So again, it's been a while. You got to go back to February 2019. 2 years ago since we've seen an inch of snow, some good snow for the D.C. area. So I know it may get some folks a little excited to see that as we see that winter wonderland for parts of D.C. But D.C. is not the only one. We got to head on up the I-95 corridor a little farther to the north as we get into Boston, because Mike, Boston, it's a tricky forecast there.
It is, and I'm sure you're licking your chops right now. You're like, come on, don't waste this nor'easter, folks. We want some snow in Boston, right? Boston, you look great right now. But I got to tell you, boy, you're right on the edge. So many things could happen for you in Boston.
Many areas have already seen at least a couple of inches of snow. The bullseye, though, you can see right around the tri-state area, 18 to 24 inches of snow still to come as things have just started to get going as we've been heading into this evening. So let me walk you through the timeline here starting late tonight. Again, as Mike mentioned, anything farther inland is all going to be snow, and that's good news. A much easier forecast when you can just talk about one type of precipitation. But the coastal areas going to be a little interesting, especially around the Delmarva areas. We could see that mix, a little bit of rain, and then of course we have to talk about that coastal flooding as that low tightens up across the Atlantic. Now, here's a look at 6 a.m. tomorrow. We have all snow across Pennsylvania. New York, you're staying all snow, and then we're going to be looking at Boston closely across the coastline. Boston, you may not pick up as much snow. Farther inland, though, in Massachusetts, you could have a very different story. So west of some of these coastal cities, your neighbors could be looking at a complete winter wonderland where we may be seeing a little bit of that rain and that turnover to that mix across parts of the coastal areas as we head through Tuesday, and then Wednesday this starts to clear up before we won't talk about this yet, but an entire another storm is on the way from the west coast, another coast-to-coast storm that may be impacting the end of your week. So here's a look at those temperatures on Wednesday, 20s and 30s, even though we're going to be clearing out, it is going to be cold across New England area as we head through the middle of this week. Now, one of these places we've been talking about all night, it's Philadelphia, where the heavy snow and wind is going to be hanging around for the next few days. Meteorologist Reynolds Wolf joins us live there. And Reynolds, you know, this started today. We have a long way to go. I mean, what's the vibe there in Philly? I mean, are people excited about this, or are they like, oh no, I want spring to come. I don't want winter anymore?
Okay, that's a great question. That is a really, really good question. It really does depend on who you ask. Now, Colleen, what's interesting about it is Mike brought this up last hour. Last year, we had barely any snow to speak of, really. So think about this, and we haven't had any heavier snow, at least in the last 5 or 6 years. So there are kids that are going to wake up tomorrow morning that have never dealt with heavy snowfall. So this is going to be a different world altogether. Now, there are also people who have lived in Philadelphia, great families that have been here for generations, and they see this, and they're like, what took so long? It's been a minute, right? So there is kind of a mix. Now, what's interesting is the mix of numbers we may be seeing by tomorrow. Now, we do have a winter storm warning that's going to be in effect until Tuesday over, and they may take a measuring device and they say, oh my gosh, we've got 6 to 7 inches of snowfall here. And that could be accurate. Then some other neighborhoods, they could go outside and they could measure and they could say, you've got 15. Is that accurate? Could be, but I also know there's some locations northwest of town that could get up to 20. So there's going to be quite a variance, to say the very least. But another component that we're going to have to contend with will be the wind. You mentioned that. Right now, we're getting a little bit of a break in the action, but tomorrow it's going to be holding onto the hat with both hands because it will be.
Stay in our area and change those totals. So that snow is going to come in, but look at that. You get that warm air to come in, maybe some dry air. Then we change back over to snow. When all is said and done, we could see the potential for double digits. And the thing is this is a long duration system. Notice going all the way through Monday evening into Tuesday, as a matter of fact, and even Wednesday for some of us, especially as we head up towards Maine.
To keep up with. So the concern is if you traveled this morning, you may be stuck at where you go and won't be able to get back home later today here. And that's certainly one of the biggest concerns, why the mayor has asked people not to travel into New York City, only essential travel here today, Steph. And so, you know, I'm expecting a lot of foot traffic because it's a pretty snow right now. And Steph, it's not as cold as it was yesterday. That's part of the story, actually.
I think that's the best part, Jen, is that it's not super frigid. It's not 7 degrees, so you can actually go out and play in it. And I bet you a lot of people in Central Park later. Snowball tossing, that's actually one of the spots to go to in New York City. Now, as we look at the interior, that's where it is a little bit colder. Binghamton, we're only at 16, 20s into Cleveland. Scranton, we're at 20s as well. Harrisburg, we're seeing a little bit of mixed precip for us there. Albany, that snow is coming in for us here into the capital. And when all is said and done, we're going to kind of be sandwiched in between some higher totals. Again, a little elevation is going to make all the difference because you have just that much more forcing. And that's how you get snow down, is by forcing, whether it's a front, whether it's some upper level winds, whether it's frontogenesis, some winds converging. And look at Scranton. This thing is a long duration event. It's going to be with us through Tuesday, even Wednesday, with the winds associated with this will be sticking around. Binghamton, you're going to be in that, 7-8 inch range, double digits as we head a little bit farther south and east. Harrisburg, not only do we get that snow, really the afternoon. This is going to be for a lot of us an afternoon event. So if you do need to get outside, you need to do it now because it's going to get worse, as Jen was mentioning, as the day progresses. Harrisburg, you're going to be in that 6 to 8 range. Right now, we got a little bit of that dry air that's coming on in and slowing the snow totals down, but it is coming into the south. Look at that into Georgia, northern Georgia. Who's seeing snow? What? Send us your pictures. Yep, also into Tennessee. It's going to be that novelty stuff here in the south, with the exception, of course, Jordan, of the higher elevations like Boone, North Carolina, where it will accumulate.
Yeah, look at those temps in the 20s. Well, we're not just worried about the snow with Orlena. Millions of us are actually under coastal flood warnings or advisories this morning. We could see widespread flooding in coastal communities like Montauk, New York, Atlantic City, New Jersey. And it also means some of these roads right there along the beaches could be completely impassable. Another threat is going to be the wind. So
we continue to show you what's happening in New York City. The snow has been coming down all night long, and the snow that we've seen so far has been a very light, fluffy snow, kind of silky. Actually, that's the best way to describe it. I mean, I pick it up, and it's just, this would be primo skiing snow for you right here. That's going to change. today, as we get through the day, we are going to see conditions change as we get a little more moisture actually move into the atmosphere. That's going to allow the snow to be heavier, but we're also going to see some warmer air move in too at the upper levels, and that is going to potentially, especially along the coast, especially out in Long Island, especially on the eastern end of Long Island, and maybe up towards, say, southern Connecticut, we're going to be dealing with a mixing with rain and even a changing over to rain for some time. That's going to affect your snowfall totals. Where you get to stay all snow in the inland areas, up towards Westchester, we are going to be picking up some heftier snowfall amounts, more than a foot of snow. And for us here in New York City at Central Park, we have not seen a foot of snow in 5 years. We had that big storm back in December, but that was only 10.6 inches. So, yeah, that was a big deal, but that's certainly not going to cut it in terms of giving us that 1 foot snowfall amount there. And the thing is, it was warmer back with that December storm, too. Jordan, we're starting off this storm on a much colder note. We really haven't been above freezing since Wednesday here in New York City.
Yeah, and Jen, I wanted to say, keep an eye out as people start to wake up in New York on the interesting commute methods. Since we're telling people to stay off the roads, we could, cross-country skis, snowshoes, all the unique methods. So I can't wait to see what's going to happen.
Thanks for the update. I'd totally be the guy, by the way, just pulling my kids in the sled behind me. That's who I'd be. Let's go ahead and take a look at radar and show you where we're
Double-digit potentials, and as our low climbs up the coast, and I really should draw that in red so all the meteorologists out there don't nick me. There we go. We will see that sweet spot north and west of that low pressure, but exactly where that sets up, you're going to have to stay tuned to the Weather Channel and watch this thing evolve. So there's our low, and again, if it shifts ever so slightly east or west, that will make or break how much snow you actually are going to get. But it is the frontogenesis setting up. That's where we usually see the worst of the snow, or I should say the biggest totals. The worst if you have to shovel it, the best if you're a kid and you get to play in it. And also those winds, not to mention it's going to be a very windy day. Travel is going to be virtually impossible here in the Northeast with everything happening. And notice how long it takes to get through. We're going to be dealing with this all the way into our Wednesday afternoon. Snow and wind still kicking behind this thing. Boston, it looks like we're going to be on the lighter side. We're east of 95. New York is going to be a very tricky forecast here if that warm air gets in and some of that dry air as well. D.C., we've been dealing with the frozen stuff since 8 o'clock last night, so be very careful there. Otherwise, higher elevations means higher snow.
Let me see if he'll come over and talk to us. Hi. Hi, Romeo. I think he likes the camera or the mic. I think he likes the mic. So Romeo likes the snow.
He loves it. He loves the snow. He goes out, rolls around in it. He absolutely loves it. Right?
And this is really
on the camera though.
Yeah, this is really a nice snow. I mean, this is a really nice, like silky snow almost.
Yeah, we don't usually get this in the city.
Yeah. Like silky snow almost. Yeah, nearly resisted once. Yeah, nearly resisted. I resisted. Yeah, those costs are going to be too high.
To the day, it's not until late Tuesday, early Wednesday that we see that rain-snow mix work into the Bangor area. Mark?
So is this snow the beginning or the end? Will it be 6 more weeks of winter, or will spring arrive?
New York. Albany right now, some light snow, 22. You can see the moderate snow, though, just off to the south. That'll continue to lift northward, and moderate snow possible through the Capital District as we finish off the evening hours. So even into the early morning, we're going to still deal with that snow coming down at a decent clip. we'll back the intensity off just a little bit into the morning or late morning tomorrow. I think by 9, 10 o'clock, now it's light snow. And that's what you can see here. The lighter blue, that's light snow. The deeper blue, that would be the moderate snow with some heavier bursts at times. So light snow, we'll stick with that through the afternoon and even into very early Wednesday morning in places like Albany. So with those persistent snow showers sticking with us, that's why we could still see another 5 to 8 inches of snow. Albany, again, the intensity will be greatest through this evening and early during the overnight. I think even beyond 5 o'clock in the morning, we're going to really be dealing with the light snow, but those winds still in that 25 to 30 mile per hour range. Possibility of a foot plus into portions of Maine, and a lot of Maine looking at over a foot of snow. Right now, no snow. No clouds in places like Caribou and Holton, but we do have that snow making its trek north, and by late this evening and overnight, that snow will move in earnest. I think places like Caribou may be waiting till the mid-morning before the snow really kicks in, but snow continues throughout your Tuesday, mixing with rain at times east of the I-95 corridor. Coastal sections there in down East Maine could even see a period of rain. Then we'll keep some snow showers around Wednesday into our Thursday morning. I think things finally wind down there in northern parts of Maine as we head into the morning on Thursday. So still a way to go with this system up there. Breaks actually in the snow by this time tomorrow. So expect another 18 to 24 hours of generally light snow, and so that's why we could still see another 2 to 3 inches. Philadelphia, I think you're going to be looking around 3 inches for the metro area of the city. You head north of town, some of those northern suburbs, still another 5 inches possible. Head over into Jersey, another 5 inches possible there. And again, you go up the northeast extension along I-78. We'll be watching for places in those communities getting in on another 5 to 8 inches of snow. Pottstown, you've got light snow. Trenton, New Jersey, light snow. Philadelphia, light snow. All temperatures generally in the low 30s. That also holds in Wilmington, Delaware, where the temperature is 32. Wilmington, you'll continue to see those snow showers on the moderate side as we head into the morning hours tomorrow. Think by mid to late morning. Again, we'll turn the intensity down a little bit. We go from the more moderate snow that accumulates quicker to the lighter snow that's a little bit more picturesque, right? Not going to be accumulating so quick that you have to get out there and shovel every few hours like a lot of you have been doing today. By the time we get into late evening tomorrow, we're going to turn it off, get a break from the snow, and let you finally get out there, maybe make a trek to the mailbox, or maybe make a trek to or dig out the mailbox, right? Snowfall still to come in the New York City area. I think around 2 to 3 inches for the city. You get out onto Long Island, 1 to 3 inch totals there. How about another 5 to 8 inches north of the city? So you get into the upstate, could see a half foot or more in some areas. Now, across portions of the Northeast and New England. Seabright, New Jersey here, the location for this flooding. You can see they've actually got the plows out, pushing the water out of the way. Coastal flooding will continue to be an issue. Dr. Nab, you mentioned especially now as we look towards our next high tide cycle.
Yeah, right now we're halfway between low tide that happened 4 or 5 o'clock this afternoon and the high tide that will happen again in New Jersey, New York coastline around 11 o'clock tonight. So in the next 2 to 3 hours,
Hours for some of you in the moderate snowfall. I think as we head into the early morning hours of your Tuesday, we could still be picking up moderate snow around Albany. Capital District will stay with the moderate snow through the evening and into the overnight. As we get towards mid and late morning, you see that lighter blue beginning to take over. That's that lighter snow that will move in and eventually become a bit more scattered through the day tomorrow. With that said, still lingering into the evening and overnight. Early Wednesday. So Wednesday morning, you get out there on the road, still could have some light snow showers around. And because of that, we're going to be picking up still some accumulations around the area. But again, the greatest intensity for the snowfall between now and about 2 a.m. Beyond that point, we'll see that snow back off a bit. It'll be light in nature, even becoming a bit more scattered later in the day. Snowfall to come across portions of Maine, well over what, 2/3 of the state, looking at a foot or more of snowfall. Some areas down around Bangor, maybe not in there, but you're really darn close. 11 inches what we're expecting for you. The areas that won't pick up the accumulations, they're in the down east part of the state, where I think we'll see more rain than what we'll see in terms of snow. Right now, actually clear across many of those areas. The snow has not made its presence felt just yet here across portions of Maine, but it's moving in through the evening and overnight. 5 a.m. you can see the snow coming down in Bangor, over to the west in Waterville as well. Caribou, you'll see the snow through the afternoon and evening, and there's that rain I talked about. So portions of down east Maine getting in on the rain. Bangor, I think the rain-snow mix line gets awfully close to you. May see a little period of rain-snow mix, but you'll end with some snow showers. Wednesday morning and afternoon, still light snow lingering around the state. I think as we get into early Thursday, a few flurries, but much of the action has come to an end for you. Eastern Pennsylvania, around the Philadelphia area, still another, I'd say, 3 to 5 inches in the city itself. Surrounding the city, the suburbs, north and west, or rather north and east of the city, actually to the northwest as well. That lavender color, that's 5 to 8 additional inches. So up into Berks, Lehigh County, still could be looking at some 5 to 8 inch totals as well. That includes the city of Reading. Pottstown, you've got light snow. Westchester, light snow. Philadelphia, King of Prussia, light snow. You head north of town, the moderate snow into places across the Lehigh Valley, where we've seen that more moderate snow band set up through the day. Overnight, continue to see the moderate snow. It eventually backs off as we head towards, say, 6, 7 o'clock. I think we're looking at light snow across southeastern Pennsylvania through most of the afternoon tomorrow. Mark?